going over MasterCard. We're going to be talking about the reactions today, as well as just what is going on with the market as a whole. We have seen some wild moves to the downside, a nice push up into the close, and it is time to rock and roll. So
What did you make of that this morning? So yeah, I saw the overall market saw so much selling pressure, and followed by, I guess, just investors coming in saying, "Look, these are bargain prices. Is devalue. Let's scoop this on up." What was your take on all that?
I mean, that's what I'm seeing. We know how the market and these big players like to accumulate on the higher time frames, and I think that what we're seeing is just another scaring, another shaking of the tree, and another opportunity. If I pull up an hourly chart here before we get into these earnings, I just want to note that big picture, nothing too major. And you know me, I'm the fib guy around here. To
Yeah.
me, I just got to watch these 50% retraces of major moves. We got a sharp one, and they bought this up already really fiercely. So to me, this is still an opportunity, and this volatility is what creates the opportunity. So I'm looking for a good earnings to confirm that this was a good dip buy. Otherwise, it could get rocky fast. But that's my thoughts. How you feeling? Feeling okay?
So the call-in show today, we were asking traders about their strategy for trading earnings, and I'm really curious to know yours. We had a caller, Tuna, who was saying how the way he trades them is he's just essentially is going to find the ticker with, I guess, anticipation. You know how the saying goes, "Buy the rumor, sell the news." So
Mhm.
he said he would look for plays that are likely going to be having like positive earnings and buy them a week ahead of time, but then sell into the news as the news
Mhm.
hits.
I
Essentially, yeah, essentially what Pear's saying right there: buy low, sell high. Yeah, yeah. So, what's your thoughts on that? How are you trading? What's your strategy for trading like earnings events and the news?
Well, I mean, I think Pear really nails it. You got to buy low, you got to sell high. It's just a matter of how we get there. So I think that there's a lot to that earnings run up strategy, and that is going to be the highest probability to way to play these. So I almost think of it as it's not income generation, but it can really pad the account in a nice, safe way when you're expecting a bullish catalyst and you see the chart kind of setting up in a bottom maybe a week or two before that. You can play that run up. And if you are an options trader as well, you get to capitalize on that volatility expansion as those contracts start pricing in as it gets closer, more and more potential for a big move. Then you can collect your premium and or your profits and maybe leave a little bit on the table, maybe that cash that you made, for the bigger move. But
Oh,
that's
leaving
the gambling.
leaving a little bit on the table, traders. For those that were there earlier, we know why that's so important. TCGL. So Josh had like 100 shares of this. Literally, Steve.
Mhm.
Five. He left like we teach leave leftovers, leave a percentage. He had five, like it was 5 shares maybe that he was just leaving, and that had gone up 100. That made $500. 100 points. So 5 shares, $500. It was the funniest thing ever. Those in the chat. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
This
what
is
are you
something else. I'm looking at like modern art here. I keep zooming in to try to find the base.
guys? Modern art. Yeah, just kind of throw some paint on a picture. I
Yeah.
love it. So,
Okay, we got to really dive in to find even the base. So Josh was in at what did you say? What was his entry?
oh, it was 17 or 18, I believe.
Holy moly! All right, so he sees the big expansion. He's saying, "I want a ticket. Sign me up." You get all the way to 29 before it even halts, and then the
I know,
massive gap up.
massive gap.
How much
Yes.
were how much were you guys locking in at 50 here? I'd be sweating.
So I took the short at 80 or whatever, and it into the halt down, which opened up. So we played both sides of it, but I mainly short and reacting to
Yeah.
that price action out there. Josh is really good with trading those halts. Yeah, he. What was the question again? He.
I'm looking at this. I'm shell shocked. What was the question?
I know.
Oh,
I was so shocked. I couldn't even. I was speechless on stream. I was like, "What is happening here?" So this is a completely different world than what we're discussing here today, which is earnings. More of
mhm.
which I'm very excited to learn from Mr. Steve here today, and a lot of you traders that are trading these news events. But yeah, that was the wild wild west, a completely different world than large caps. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so today, a little less volatile, but maybe not entirely volatile, volatility lacking. So we're seeing Apple just doing your basic kind of anticipation move. We are coiling after hours between this six, or I'm sorry, 258 and the 259 ish, 259.40 ish. So we are still capped. We're in this range and just waiting for news. I have my feet up on the other side, so we will know when earnings happens. Let's go
Okay.
to the latest here.
I was seeing maybe like 4:30.
They
Yeah.
usually take their time, and especially for mega caps, you will have some time. They don't like to release right after the bell usually, while options markets are still open. I think that might be part of the reason. So you'll see Nvidia like 20 minutes after the bell, Apple, I guess half an hour. That sounds about right.
Okay.
So we got a little bit of time to chat, a little bit of time to hang out and talk about what we're
And
seeing in the market overall. Also, this Microsoft run up into close is really piquing my interest about maybe this is a hand tip about how these mega cap earnings are going to keep going. Maybe this is the dip to buy.
you saw Microsoft, I mean, they were even, uh, fiddling in small cap land with RR. RR came out with a PR collaborating, that was a play that Money Mitch was on. Now, they did offering RR, and that's
Mm,
why we saw them, have a sell-off, but those partnerships are yeah, somebody mentioned in chat before, as far as, like, what's actually decent news events in, small cap land, that's it, like, the partnerships with the big boys. And I was listening to your stream a little bit ago. Say you were discussing like just the trends. Overall trends are more healthy in large caps. They're like easy. I do find that they can certainly be easier to trade because you can trade with more clarity of mind in the
yeah,
trade, right? Because
yeah.
you just pulled up that what the TCGL, and it's like how you you go deer in headlights, Steve. And then I
Yeah.
saw this. If you really have got to prepare for the worst case scenario, it's almost like feast or famine, because I already read about a trader who lost everything on that, and it's very sad stories there.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, as far as the earnings go, which plays are you guys looking at in chat? We got the Apple, the Visa, Mastercard, Caterpillar,
Okay.
CAT.
So I
Yeah,
haven't checked cap, but let me hazard a guess that probably they're doing pretty well. Yeah, there we go. So I can't imagine the guys who are the literal picks and shovels play of all this data center build out are going to do poorly looking forward here. So this is a wild type chart. So Kevin, I'm curious about your thoughts on these kind of upward progressing consolidations. Because to me, it's like it sets off this thing in my brain where I'm like, wow, this can either get really explosive and kind of get squeezy parabolic, break out into blue skies into a whole new range. Then maybe it trades sideways way up here. But I'm also just thinking, well, what if the bottom falls out and this is just like, those falling wedges that I love to trade, but in reverse? Does this worry you, or is this a sign of strength in your book?
yeah, I'm looking at the short interest on it right now, but I think
Mm,
Nos has a really good approach with these too, as far as like there are very stubborn shorts that get involved and they just keep hitting and hitting. The
mm,
short flow is 1.32, so nothing much there.
yeah,
But
it doesn't agree
that's
both.
always a number in small caps, at least I look at. Yeah, I usually always look at that number because the overall market's gonna trend up if like there's over ambitious shorts that keep thinking, oh, this is the top, this is the top, this is, and then so every pullback then thereafter, the shorts are then going to cover, and then long term investors are going to come in and scoop that on up as well.
Mhm,
But at the highs here, with the news coming out today, I mean, I'd be leaning on the buy rumor sell news.
mhm.
Going into after hours here today with CAT. That's something I would be looking at and maybe expect some profit taking into this event.
Yeah, and you see the big move up, and then we do have consolidation, and just it's always good to kind of keep it simple in the regards of, hey, we are compressing after digesting a move up, so we got to see which way this pattern breaks for sure. Just in terms of narratives, Cat's not a bad contender for a stock that would be continuing to push up into blue skies. But you do bring up a good point. I think I mentioned the word squeeze, and it's important to note squeeze means something very different when you're in a small cap with all this big short interest. I'm
Mhm.
using it a little liberally there, just in a chart that looks like it wants to kind of ramp up and rip, like we kind of see with
Yeah.
some of these.
I'm taking a
uh,
look since April on cat. Since April. Really? I mean, that's it, and again, it's like time frame too. I think
Mhm,
every trader trades a different time frame.
yeah,
So are we looking at end of year, end of day, end of week, if as far as where's cat gonna be? But yeah, since April 277 up towards 680. Well, I
wow.
mean, what a trend on that. So you're thinking when, but you're right. Like all traders, when they see, okay, there's absolutely zero resistance overhead. There's no ceiling here, perhaps, and you have kind of some clear risk levels, maybe the previous close, previous low day. And so when you have clear skies ahead like that, I mean, you could have the event where shorts just tend to cover and longs are scooping this thing on up.
Mhm.
What are you thinking as far? Are you just going to monitor kind of
I
price
mean,
action on it?
it's always tough, right? Because it'll keep going higher until price is, rejected at some level and people stop buying it. And I think Micron and silver are two great examples of that, where the trend just keeps screaming. And I remember saying right here, just in despair mode, oh, I missed this obvious trade and it went crazy. And then I just bought in this consolidation and it felt crazy at the time, buying something that is, 30% higher than it was a month ago, 100% higher than it was 6 months ago. But the trend is your friend. And until those sellers
Yeah.
show themselves, looks like it's actually moving higher after hours too. Let's see on the 5 minute. Look at that. So what might have done that? Did we get any?
So what would you say? Like every trader can be summed up as essentially trend or counter trend. What would you say you are?
So I am a breakout trader at heart, but I've learned over a lot of heartbreak that the best way for me to be a breakout trader and trade with those larger trends is to be a counter trend hunter within those larger trends. So I look for a base to form on a higher time frame, and then I look to get involved on pullbacks into that newly confirmed higher trend. If that
Oh,
kind of
okay. So you're waiting for sideways consolidation. Like you want to see that it's going to form a healthy trend, go sideways,
yeah
and then you look. Yeah, yeah, that's important. Um, I like that. Yeah, because otherwise, like how you learn not to buy essentially like into the euphoric move. Like you're going to wait for it to settle down and form that healthy sideways consolidation. Is that what I'm gathering?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So I think I missed a very
Visa,
important earnings.
Visa. Yeah, yeah.
SanDisk, I think, is reporting. Yeah, and that's what's pumping Micron right there. So Micron just hit my first long-term target of 450 after hours here. So
So Visa posts quarter one adjusted earnings per share 317 versus estimated 314.
all right, they're getting spanked a little bit here after hours. We are seeing them down from the 332 handle, trading down to the 324. I'm going to pull this up and we're going to look for where higher time frame support might be. They're looking like they're going to lose the low of the day here, which would be a bad look overall. Interesting that we're seeing the divergence between that and the MasterCard release there. So pulling back to an hourly, we are seeing a little bit of wicking up off the
Okay.
bottom, so we can see if the bulls want to maintain. This has been a lot of trading sideways in preparation of this earnings. So if we do lose this, we could see a decent sized flush.
Yeah, tax on it. Good value there. Looking at that too, revenue was beat. So this again follows exactly what Steve and I were just saying. Like, buy the rumor, sell the news.
Mhm.
Is this not that?
Sure seems like it to me, yeah. And so we're seeing a little bit of weakness there. I do also want to track how this is affecting the financials. They don't seem to care. They're primarily the big banks. So Visa here is or I'm sorry, MasterCard getting hit. MasterCard doesn't care much either. So interesting to see
Apple's
that divergence.
already Apple's showing some volatility right now, traders too. I don't see the news release on it yet, but I know
Yeah,
that's the big
nothing
one we're watching.
nothing pulling up for me, but sellers are taking that profit from today when it was looking strong into close, coming back to essentially the midway point of today's price action. So we had that nice range formed in the morning, ding
What
right at the
le
midpoint.
what levels are you looking at for Visa?
Let's pull up Visa here. So Visa, the big one is this low of day here for me. It's the 320, 350 to 324 zone. I want to see the buyers just respect this previous little sell off here that happened in the morning. But really, when we pull back just a little bit on the hourly, the actual bottom of this range is going to be a little bit lower at the 321. So we can call it 320 and assume that this might flush down to the 300 handle if it can't find a bottom there. If we pull back to a higher time frame,
Let's
it should give us a little clarity there.
Yeah, we always do 3 types of analysis traders, do technical, fundamental, and trader. Fundamentally, what's going on with the news? Obviously, we beat revenue expectations here, but then technically, we gotta look left of the chart to get an idea of the personality of this ticker. So like Steve's saying, I mean, we have clear levels here right around these 3 twos, which are trying to respect right now for Visa.
hmm So this isn't going to be like the most exciting of the earnings in terms of percentage move, but it does have pretty decent implications on consumer spending and just the overall outlook of just how bullish we are, and especially on the back of the FOMC meeting here. So we're still kind of in a whirlwind digesting that, plus some geopolitical news today, and it feels like just every day this week has been something to digest. So it'll be important to see how we settle and close this week as well. Micron screaming even higher through that 450. SanDisk showing no signs of stopping. It is trading over 600, guys. Oh my goodness. I called this one out at 275, but I thought it was chasing. Mentioned my Micron trade that I took in sympathy, but it didn't have this kind of explosive gains. So congratulations to the SanDisk bulls. Wow. Kevin, I'm over here trying to decide whether I should bite the bullet and pony up for some new RAM if it's just going to keep getting worse. And that's got to be a top signal, right? I don't know.
I know. With SanDisk, what's the volatility going on there? Did they report? When did they report earnings?
Let me get the actual numbers on those guys here. So
Trying to look for that.
they beat earnings per share by 75%. They were expected at 3.54 and came in at 6.20. How about that for a beat? Revenue is up beat by
Wow.
12%.
Okay.
Yeah, from 2.69 billion to 3.025 actual reported
Yeah.
numbers there. So EPS is up over 404% year over year. Take that to the bank and cash it. That's a
Okay.
number.
That was Yeah, I
But
mean, this has been an insane week with these earnings plays. I mean, there's just been
mhm,
so many. Yeah, what a beat there. And they like they try to accumulate shorts into some of this weakness because it's hardly ever just straight up. You see how SanDisk, it just right near the end of the day it sells off. This thing sells off like 15 points in a day.
mhm. It's mean,
Yeah.
right? The traps that they lay. But if you think about it, where do they plunge it to in the after hours here? Well, just a day or two. Prices, it's like the meme. Prices not seen since yesterday. We're down 1 trillion in market cap. Okay, well, really we're just retesting the previous day's structure. We found buyers that couldn't get involved in today's rally and just said, "Hey, all right, tag me in. Put me in, coach.
We're gonna
I have
have no
that."
memory. Yeah. I mean,
Boom.
apparently Paris saying we have no memory left. There's no memory out there. I mean,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to get it off the secondary market if you want. SanDisk has been. This reminds me of the quote that Nos said, which is like day trading is for just your everyday kind of capital. It's like essentially you can treat it as such, and then swing trading is where wealth is generated. And looking at the past chart history with SanDisk, that's exactly what I see. I mean, if you were involved with SanDisk in the 27s, 8s, 9s, and this thing's at 550, I mean, within a year, Steve, within a
Wow.
year.
It's something else. All right. Sorry, I'm responding to my.
Amazed.
I run a small. I guess we're technically an investment fund, but we're just selling a bunch of our Micron here over 450. So that's been quite a trade for us. But for me, it's like you're saying, sell the news, and by selling into strength, I can let a little bit ride even after this crazy parabolic move.
Mhm.
So just management there, healthy management. Got to respect the levels.
Are you mainly swing trading these plays, or you have day trading and swing accounts?
Yeah, Kevin, I'm getting old. I do have the day trading account, so we took some spy action today. I got washed buying the dip too early on some monthlies. Hopefully those will recover on the uranium plays. So I do get involved in the day trading stuff. We took some spy calls near the bottom, sold them way too early, but is what it is. But in general, just keeping them separate like that and having most of my income generate. Well, I consider it income generation. Just safer shares plays and just buying dips in quality companies that I'm just waiting to get these
Yeah.
opportunities on. That really keeps my head in the game because then even if I'm getting washed on my day trades, and even if my Roth is down, I just go, well, I'm getting filled on some orders and on companies that I really like. And I bet in a month's time, I'm going to be glad that this happened and not sad that it's happening like today. So it's just good to keep the emotions in check there for me personally. And also it just keeps my hand out of the cookie jar. Having too much capital in the options account makes you think that, oh, I can make a quick bundle and maybe break some rules. So just for me, it's good to have a little bit of boundaries there, I guess. What do you
Yeah. I completely agree. I think whatever. whatever methodology you can use in which you're there's less emotions involved and you're thinking with clarity. That's how you're going to perform the best in trading. So even today, like I said, I've seen success stories, and then on the flip side of that, I've seen horror stories with some of
Or
those small cap tickers. Now, the important thing again is time is always sizing and time frame. Sizing and time frame. The reason that people get so crushed as far in the intraday space, maybe outside of the swing trading space, in the intraday day trading space, is people over leverage way too much. Like you think, Steve, about the there's like all these mass liquidation events, for example, in the crypto space.
Wait,
But why is that? It will literally move like 2%
yeah,
and mass liquidation event. So why is that? But it's the same approach that traders take as far as equities go too. People get way too over leveraged. They want to get from A to B too quickly. So the time frame's off. So I respect the swing approach like you're taking, because you have to you can adjust for like you're essentially adjusting for swings anyways. You don't need to necessarily hit the exact bottom and top, and that's not the framework in which you're trading anyway. So you allow for some flexibility in that sense. In that way, you're just not going to have a mass liquidation
right. No,
sweep on your
absolutely.
account.
I
Yeah.
think you hit the nail on the head. One thing that's kind of good, it's not particularly fun, but it keeps you humble because when you're looking at higher time frame, trends, and you're entering maybe on hourly closes and not going through with quite as a fine tooth, comb as like a zero DTE entry where you're expecting a move by the end of the day. You know, a lot of times you have to say, well, I guess we need to go down one more level before we really find those solid buyers. We found some, but they were not enough to support, not enough to shake me from this trade, and I'm looking at this as an opportunity. And that, again, it's just good practice in being wrong, um, but in the right ways, right? And knowing, well, okay, I have this plan on a higher time frame, and if we do get past those levels, well, then I'm not looking to average down. I'm looking to get out and take risk off.
Yeah.
So it gives you more time to add into when you're right and take money off if you're wrong, and you don't have to die on any one hill like your ego might
Mhm.
get you in trouble in an intraday trade in that kind of way. Where if you have more time to think about it, you're probably going to be more level headed. I found, for me at least.
Oh yeah, you get the paralysis by analysis with the deer and headlights. As
Mhm.
far as when the time frame's too quick. So yeah, I mean, Trader FX, swing is king in chat stating that.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, so what do you think about Apple's partnership with AI? Looks like even today they announced an Israeli company, a startup. Today they acquired audio AI startup. They acquired it, QAI.
Interesting.
Uh,
So what I
yeah.
think is it's kind of setting the tone for this earnings quarter and for the year ahead, which is that, we're seeing a little bit of a sell off in Meta there. I wonder, we're going to keep an eye on that. What I think, and actually Meta set this trend, is that it seems like we are getting companies are getting rewarded for increased capital expenditure, especially it seems like with these AI investments. I mean, we saw Tesla with the XAI. They are down, but it seemed like that was an area of interest. At the very least, it's something that these companies are looking to do, and we're seeing Apple continuing that trend. We'll see if they are punished on earnings. We are seeing a big candle here
Mhm.
at 123, so shouldn't be out yet. I will double check, make sure nothing got released a little bit early. But yeah, I want to see. That's what I'll be curious to see about with Apple, and just in general, what the kind of what trends companies are getting rewarded for and what they're getting punished for. So for Microsoft, it felt like the bar was very high. It didn't feel like bad earnings, but it felt like they needed to be stellar earnings to break this trend of software as a service being ugly in compared to hardware. So Apple does, have more exposure on the hardware side, and I hear the Mac Minis are doing very well. Ironically, due to all the people doing Cloud Code on them, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because this is a very important quarter for them, covering last holiday quarter essentially.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah. I mean, that brings up a great point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and I think it's another situation where expectations are going to be high because they laid it out last quarter that they were expecting, you know, really good earnings essentially, and so we will see how much that's been priced in with this
Yeah.
amazing run up until this past couple weeks pullback, and now now here we are at the big pivotal moment. So the buyer's still respecting this what is it, 257-ish kind of zone, which is a undercut of the morning highs. They're retesting, I'm sorry, the morning lows. They're retesting the morning lows here, trying to do that undercut look, which we do love to see, shaking the short-term buyers out, getting them shares for cheap before the bigger move up with the high conviction holders. So that's one thing I always try to think about is like, who's buying these shares? Who's selling these shares? If it is at the end of the day after a big run up, well, those sells are probably less relevant than than if well, just about any other situation, basically. Like if it's an obviously a profit taking situation, then you can think about that being short term sellers, just getting rid of their momentum trade. And as long as the buying is like being absorbed on a higher time frame, we kind of assume that those buyers have a higher time frame perspective and will hold through the little bit of
Yeah.
volatility, especially going into earnings like this. You're not buying into Apple earnings if you're going to sell. It's kind of a vote of confidence, I would say.
So Corey brings up an interesting point that Apple equals tariffs is what he said. Now, I mean, from what I've read, Apple did face significant pressure from tariffs. I was reading that Apple reported actually 1.1 billion in tariff costs during 2025 third quarter, and
Mhm.
expected another 1.4 billion during like the holiday quarter. Right. So that's I mean, is that gonna has that been priced in?
It,
Those
it's
and
it's a tough equation, isn't it? I'm not
mhm,
I'm not 100% sure, but they do definitely have a lot of exposure to like Cambodia and Vietnam, I believe. Some of these areas where they are, their labor force and their supply chain is based out of, it definitely is relevant. And you saw just how big of an impact that could be on stocks like Nike as well, a lot of the clothing manufacturers. So they're in an
mhm,
interesting kind of space where they're more exposed to tariffs than just about any other mega cap. And as with anything tariff related, it is kind of a game of chicken. It's like, how long will they last? Will they need to start transitioning their manufacturing, reshoring that? There's a lot
yeah,
of investments that need to be made if they are going that route. And will these tariffs stick? Are they even constitutional? Lots of volatility, which often is overpriced, I would say, and you can often get good deals off of this kind of geopolitical risk if you pick your spot well and get a little bit lucky slash have an edge or an insightful about these things. But it's not an
mhm.
easy game, right? Like I'll be the first to say, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
Apple.
like you said, so it looks like they shift some of the manufacturing, like you said, to other places like the India or,
Mhm.
Vietnam, so, some of those other places, but so do you ever trade, like, the actual earnings period right now?
In general, the only plays that I do is when it's a company that I like long term, and I think they might get punished for an earnings result.
Okay.
So like then I'd be looking to bottom fish
Okay.
at key
Yeah, yeah.
levels. That's really the only setup that I like that's high probability. Otherwise, every once in a blue
What
moon, I will take a gamble, take a high flyer, call usually just to
what
define
about a
that risk. Because
what about a
I'm
do you
not
ever
a
sh
big fan of like potentially knife catching something too crazy. But if it's like something that I
oh,
really believe in, then I'll take a stab.
the knife catching, yeah, yeah, I've had my hands have had their fair share of fun.
And
Uh,
even then, remember, I'm waiting for my level to hit and then for it to reclaim. And sure, it's still risky, but it's not as risky as just buying the first tap where it might just get plunged straight through because those are no fun.
oh, no, not fun at all,
Mm-mm.
not fun at all. Yeah, so, guys, Apple, a little volatile right here. 257 is kind of the level. Now, Visa, the 225 that Steve pointed out, is that 220 area. That's really key level support on the past chart history. So we'll be mindful of that.
Mhm.
See if that level can hold.
And this one's just moving so slow compared to the Apple. The Apple's where it's going to get spicy here. We have 2 minutes until the numbers should release. I'm going to keep an eye on my feed here. Start refreshing. And this is just pre-earnings jitters, nothing too scary yet. But you got to admit, if this is a 1 minute chart intraday, you got to assume that it's pushing on down. So we'll see if this trend can find a bottom pretty soon, and it's just a washout into earnings. We're still just trading back into the day's base that it carved out in the morning here. So a logical place to reload if we're going up, shaking out these loose, these weak hands. But we got to watch in 30 seconds here, guys. That's when it'll matter.
All right. A little lower wick right there. A little lower wick getting bought up.
The old shake and bake. Yeah, you can see the spread in that lighter window here on my screen. So far, just right in the base. And remember, we talk about this a lot, where this down, up, down, this W base forms. That's often where the buyers will step back in. So we're going to hone that in just a little bit. Right there. Pushing up so far, trying to reclaim this little carve out of the base here. Boom! All right, earnings out. Looks good. Looks good so far. That's a strong move up. We're going to have to zoom on out here. We are trading at 264 and change, coming on back down to the 261 handle. We were shaking and baking, working our way up, digesting, pushing even higher. We tagged 265, expect a few sellers to come in there, but sounds like earnings are good. Kevin, watch these charts while I find some data here. Looks like
16% year over year.
16% year over year. We like that. Apparently we like that.
Uh,
Market is pushing
quarterly revenue 143.8 billion.
double B. Yeah, let's go, baby. All right, we got the double B. Is Apple saving the market? Let's hop back into SPY. SPY pushing a little bit higher, trying to break above that. I want to see what Qs are doing. If they could reclaim a swing high, yeah, they're pushing higher off of that. We want to see continuation here. Apple pushing even higher through the 265. I'm going to look at the time and sales on Apple as well to see those big old orders coming in. We have a few sellers coming in at the 265, still digesting that handle. Expect a little pivot to form there over the next few minutes before we decide, are we surging higher or not? I'm going to pull up Apple on a higher time frame underneath as well. We're going to get our bearings on a hourly chart.
A message from Mr. Tim Cook himself.
Oh,
iPhone has had its best ever quarter, driven by unprecedented demand, with all-time records across every geographic segment, and services also achieved an all-time revenue record, up 14% from a year ago. We're excited to announce that our installed base has now more than 2.5 billion active devices, which is a testament to our incredible customer satisfaction for the best products.
let's go, baby. All right. So we are pushing even higher up above the 266 handle now. We are in price discovery mode, and you love to see that. I'm watching some sells coming in over the ask there, but they are not getting any traction. These shorts are still getting run over, pushing higher almost to the 267 handle now. This is pulling, yanking SPY up, yanking Qs up. We're going for a ride, boys. We're going up.
Oh, it's a fun ride. Hey, the only ones that get hurt on the roller coaster are the ones that jump off. There's financial advice for you for the day.
There you
So
go.
the board of directors declared a cash dividend. I don't know if this is old or new news, Steve, for you, but 26 cents per share of the company's common stock. Dividends payable February 12th, 2026.
Wow, I'm just mesmerized by all of those sellers getting ran over by new buyers at the 268. Okay, so some dividend news. That is news to me personally, but I am not up to date on my mega cap dividend
Okay.
news cycle there, to be completely honest. So we do have a few sellers coming in now over that 268 handle. It's been quite a move there from the 256 to 266. What is that in percentage gains? Let me pull that up.
Yeah, good dividend. 2.5 billion active devices. Yeah, good stuff. All right, fundamentally there, right? Fundamentally there. We do three types of analysis, guys. Smoked tuna. Yeah, I know there's a lot of small caps running right now. We'll get to those. We'll get to those tomorrow. FATBB. I'll throw that one down on the watch list for tomorrow. Yeah, a few. I mean, this market is heating up, traders. And hey, Apple here, Steve, we're trading like a small cap right now.
I know, right? We just broke over the expected move. That was a 3.8 expected move. We're trading at just about 4% right now, maybe right about the 3.8 as we speak. So right about nothing too crazy, but it's really good to see just from a stabilization perspective on SPY in particular, or Qs in particular, which will lead to that SPY stabilization. We just wanted to see any reason to counteract the sell from the morning, and we are so close. If we break this neckline, we can expect a nice failed breakout push through or to and hopefully through 700. That's where we're at, as long as Apple can hold these gains to some extent, which looking okay so far. So we're back testing the 265 area, under that right now at 264. This would be the kind of dollar zone I'd like to see hold as the moving averages start catching up. Remember, with these big explosive moves, it takes a while for the support to come in. You can get
Yeah.
the big outsized move up and down before coiling and potentially going higher. So, and
Yeah,
also
and,
earnings
oftentimes
call.
so on the
Mhm.
short side, I love 50% retracements, that's what I look for, but on the long side, as well with Apple doing this right here, I mean, this is essentially 50% retracement off of the highs it just put in, so let's see if dip buyers are gonna step in, right now as this thing's pulling a lot of profit taking coming in right
Mhm.
here towards this 260s.
Yeah, pretty notable there. You really we really want to see a pretty quick snapback if it's going to come back in this deep, I'd say.
Mhm.
And we are just seeing potentially some latent fears that we were talking about in terms of just the overall shakiness geopolitically right now. There's a lot of moving parts in terms of policy, and we're kind of seeing how things are going to turn out going forward in this pivotal moment with all these earnings too. So we're just seeing a little bit more fear and trepidation, I feel like, than we might see in a more bullish overall environment. So I don't want to read too much into this profit taking. And like you said, we're just watching where they step back in. They are respecting the 50% pullback in that first 9 minute moving average that is catching up. So it doesn't seem like the bull run is completely over by any means yet. We just want to keep seeing that constructivity in a flag or
Oh,
pennant
yeah. Yeah, this is
kind of
likely
form.
gonna get bought up here on this pullback. It just so on the daily, what this is what we were doing, guys, is the fundamentally sound here. Then we move technically, right? So we look left. We look left, and Apple certainly hitting a level, of resistance. So it's just seeing some imagine you're long in this, in November, and this thing's popping up towards your entry. You're probably having order, get out, break even, that kind of thing. So Apple's hitting that level on the past chart history. The faster the move is, the weaker it tends to be.
Mhm.
That's just remember that. The steeper it is, the weaker. That's how I remember it. Steeper equals weaker. I know what Steve was saying what he looks for in his breakout approach is sideways consolidation. You want to see a quick move, but you want to be able to time you don't want to buy into that euphoria into the 268 on Apple. You want to wait for it to start basing, going sideways, given clear risk levels.
Mhm.
So that's what we do. We look left, have those levels that we're seeing fundamentally sound. So let's pick our entries because most of trading is just execution. Anybody can identify a pattern, but you got to execute well on it. You have to execute well on it. So you have to identify A, the edge, have the B the discipline to just trade that, consistency to compound that, and the risk management to protect and preserve your capital.
Well said, man. Absolutely, and just it's so important to I mean, just remember all that. But like you said, looking back on the higher time frames, I was just pulling up the weekly here to see where we reacted, and it's essentially just the top or the bottom of this previous potential topping range here. And so it came back and it broke this downtrend line as well. So that's two reasons why you could potentially encounter sellers right in that zone, that 270 to 280s or 268 zone. So
Mhm.
now we're coming back to where these moving averages are curling on under. We've got them coming in just like that to form a zone of longer term support here at the 259 to 262 ish kind of area. So that's the area where I would expect buyers to kind of say, hey, this was good. We're stabilizing here. We got this kind of signal that we might want to go up by breaking this downtrend line. We are breaking above these moving averages on a weekly. If they can rise to meet us and hold, then we can start entertaining the possibility of a constructive move back up. So hopefully it's just healthy or price action here. As you can see, the 5 minute chart, pretty shaken and bacon, but a nice bottom wick so far. Let's go to the 1 minute. And that was a wild candle there. Woo, all the way back down, getting some bulls in. And they're saying, hey, there's still room in this tank. At least off of that candle, they're saying that. So we got to keep an eye on that. How's SPY doing through all of this?
Yeah.
A little bit of a
Traders, let us know how you're trading this. And again, go ahead and follow Trade the Pool over on YouTube. We did a call-in show today, referencing the topic was on the pretty much the relevancy of this week. That is how your strategy in trading these earnings plays, and some really interesting approaches to it. Like, are you trading actually the news event? Are you trading leading up to that news? Are you trading thereafter? Buy the rumor, sell the news style. So let us know in the comments your approach to these earnings plays.
par. By the way, asking if I did buy Hood five before it popped $5 into the bell. I got there about a third to half of the way up through the move. I think when I got my fill. So I'm sitting green, sitting pretty, but I didn't catch the full thing. I was fumbling a little, but the chart's looking really tasty to me. I gotta say, crazy pop there.
Yeah, so tech, very good. I mean, usually trading 3 weeks before the earnings. Hey, the early bird gets the worm, so they say. Uh, I love it. Yeah, you if you wanna be among the 10%, you gotta do what the 90% are not doing. And I can tell you, probably the 90% are are buying like the news event, right? They're not buying leading up to it. So you got that buy the rumor, sell the news. That's why that's so important. The price gets vexed in. Steve was all over it. The price is vexed in. Like if with Apple, for example, I mean, this thing had been trending higher, right, since pretty much the end of the year. And so this gets vexed in, but with the news coming out, we're seeing it kind of be range bound a little bit right now. Got that pop, almost like a high frequency trading, like Algo popped. What do you
Mm,
think about that? It's like right when that PR hit, this thing shot straight up. So obviously there's algos guys attached to
mm.
these PRs. I mean, it just certainly is with the high frequency trading. But with right when that news hit, shoo, straight up she went. Now it's kind of range bound 261, 267. Not a bad dip area right here.
Well, it's yeah, you're definitely hitting the nail on the head with this. It's definitely highly algorithmic, and I think earnings are a great example to show that hey, it's all operating on the same kind of plumbing, right? Whether it's a small cap or a large cap. When you have the large cap, there's going to be much more liquidity to kind of dampen and blanket these intense moves. But hey, if you get a big enough catalyst and there's enough volume, you can still get these big old news candles like you're talking about. And just look at the efficiency of the market coming back and wicking right back into this previous area that got smashed through, cleaning that tape up and just getting people back involved that had their orders down here that didn't fill, or anybody who maybe put their stops in and just very quickly sweeping right back up to this new kind of equilibrium that's forming here at 263. So 263 is seeming like it's going to be our pivot to watch here. We like that it's over the 50. It's showing that people were buying it up pretty aggressively under the 50% and into that golden pocket there. And also, just one more thing to note, remember these 0.78 fibs, these stop run fibs, they often wick down into there just to run people out of their positions. And lo and behold, right to the penny, got people out.
Yeah. So for the fun stop orders, we have fun conversations with Money Mitch about stops. Uh, yeah, so Apple just came out with some additional headlines here. The consensus based on sales in different countries. Japan sales are 9.41 billion versus the consensus was 10.1 billion. China sales were pretty good, 25.5 billion versus 20.8 billion. The rest of Asia was up slightly. iPhone sales did really well in America. They were up. Looking at all those numbers right now, Mac sales at 8.39 billion versus a consensus of 9.26 billion. So some up, some down.
Yeah, and China likes this after hours. FXI is pushing, and this is a trade I want to put on people's radars. Are we ready to have this conversation yet as a society that I think it's time to long Chinese stocks again? Because it's a
Oh,
big contrarian trade,
oh, oh.
but I think
KX,
it's time.
KXIN. Pull that one up.
XIN.
Again, I come from small caps. I'm the small cap analyst.
Oh, mama. All right. All right. All right. You're giving me another
Yeah,
Van Gogh, another Picasso here.
that's so funny. Yeah, I shorted that a few days ago. But I mean,
Yeah.
again, in small caps, the Chinese tickers, they're a circus. But
Yeah.
you're probably referencing a different kind of Chinese ticker.
Definitely. Definitely thinking more of the Babas and the
Oh yeah,
Abaidis.
yeah, yeah.
A little higher quality. This, I don't know what I'm looking at. This one's getting bludgeoned after hours down to $6. Oh, that's probably what you wanted me to look at. This is insane. Woo. There it
Oh
goes.
yeah, 22. Oh, yesterday it hit. Now it's at 3. I mean, the range
Oh,
is unreal.
that's a wild one. Yeah, no, I was thinking more maybe some long term Baba shares or something, but I'm expecting the falling dollar as well as I mean we've got 4 talks between Xi and Trump coming up relatively. We don't know exactly when this year for sure. I think any one of those could be a catalyst for a significant move up as the market looks for places to kind of flood capital into, specifically Chinese markets. There's 7 trillion that's looking for homes in higher yield investments. That sounds like they're going to buy a whole lot of stocks to me. So we have potential with a nice
$2
looking high tide.
billion self-driving delivery giant, and Alibaba to launch new models for the AI supremacy in China.
Ooh,
Yeah.
so there we go. We might start seeing some catalysts.
That was news today. They're going to merge autonomous drivings with Chinese robovan.
That's like something that my brain can't even parse if it's bullish or not, but it sounds like a liquidity event, like influx of liquidity. So I'm in any kind of catalyst. I'm just seeing Baba's daily chart giving a nice little kiss to the rising 9-day. That was a nice entry. If anybody snagged it, it would have been low a day. And I'm looking for that kind of same look tomorrow or into the next week to get involved in these. I think a little
Yeah,
extended, but I like
morning
it.
ooh, this morning, Baba took a nosedive, found his feet eventually, but, I mean, with some of these plays, you gotta be right or right out, guys. I mean, just make sure you know the risk.
Oh yeah, and there is always risk when you're dealing with a whole different set of politics. Something overseas where
Right.
it's a little harder to get some
Oh,
clarity
yeah.
sometimes.
You find yourself with the in the large cap space, especially with what you said, what's going on politically, like, do you have a whole monitor just dedicated to, Truth Social?
I hate that it has to be part of the meta to have alerts set to every single time Trump tweets. This is not the life I chose, but I guess it is because this is my job. So we're playing the meta we're given. It is exciting if nothing else, but it's always unfun when you're like, I think rare earths is a really good investment, and then just a random rogue headline comes and pops your stock for 10%. You're like, all right, I guess I buy more, but
Yeah.
this is bad.
Oh, yeah, you
You
have,
know,
like, amazing news followed by, "Oh, we're tariffing them 25%," and then tanks. It's yeah, I mean,
I mean,
that's
history up to this point has backed up. Hey, he's kind of telling us what to invest in. There will be volatility. Just buy the dips in the right things, and it'll work out. But it feels weird to have that much faith in anything. So I got to find the balance between these conviction narrative plays and good technical spots, because otherwise you can just get washed out in a counter. Like for example, the critical metals. They're no less important than they were when they were trading 100% higher. It's just that
mm,
liquidity event snapback on both sides, where you,
yeah.
you got to trade them. You can't just trust in the process completely. Man, Apple's putting me to sleep here, doing a whole lot of nothing, drifting right back into that 260 handle. I guess that's probably where the resting buyers are sitting in that 260. At least we would hope. As long as that
Apple
holds, probably
CEO Tim
nothing.
Cook says the wearables, the segments such as like the AirPods and what would have grown in fiscal first quarter, but if not for the supply constraints. Yes, some supply constraints. Says the AirPod Pro 3s were supply constrained in Q1.
All right.
But
This is
China did well. I mean, Apple they beat revenue and earnings. See surge in China sales. Did really well there.
I'm just wondering, is this, I mean, the market's not really loving it anymore. It really faded pretty quickly off of that. We were hoping to see some continuation, and we were just right back to where we were before Apple came out, which makes sense because Apple's right back to where it was. Let's see how SanDisk is holding those gains, by the way. Pretty well. So SanDisk definitely looking like it's more of a fundamentally driven, still more interest in that hardware space. Micron still looking fine, looking nice and constructive. Let's see if Apple can catch this bid here. And what's Visa doing? Anything interesting?
I
Nothing
think
really.
she's still around her support level. Yeah, that 325.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
super exciting, super riveting here. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we don't want anything too exciting after that sell today. Just maybe this is good enough, especially with the SanDisk showing that like, hey, we're still building this stuff out. There's still going to be money coming into all of this. We're still expecting good things ahead. It's just a little bit of a gut check when you get these big sells like today. Kind of makes you just reevaluate risk a little bit, because I think we got a little comfortable with just up, up, up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think you nailed it on the head, Thomas. You're being bullish on the short and long term, but the idea is how what Steve and I were saying earlier, because we see a lot of traders, and I saw one today. Honestly, just speaking to one, blew up on a trade. It's just with the oversizing. It's just the time frame and sizing. Time frame and sizing. Those are the things you have to focus on. Don't leverage yourself too thin, on something like this. Allow for some flexibility on the trade. I think a good rule of thumb, and Katz talks on this too, Steve, is sizing into plays. I don't know if you're more like single entry, single exit, or if you tend to kind of space out your entries, but that's an approach that allows for flexibility. So you can really take a smaller piece than even anticipated. Like if you're going to go in something 100 shares, just start with 25. Start smaller, and it allows you to have that clarity of mind. So you can make good judgment calls on the trade and see the price action for what it is, and you don't have to worry about the paralysis by analysis.
Man, I love that. And I couldn't agree more. And the thing for me, I love the multiple entries, multiple exits, because for me, it just
Mm.
works with the whole concept of what we're doing, which is just taking what the market gives us and being open to being wrong at any given time. So by not going all in at one spot. I'm humbling myself and not saying I'm going to nail this. I'm going to say, hey, this is the zone of interest. I think I'm identifying buyers in the right kind of area to be looking. I want to get involved in case this is the exact bottom, or not exact bottom, but the exact, okay, price came down, price came up a little, formed a valid structure to me. I think this is valid. If I'm wrong, hey, I bet it's going to form something not too far under there in my higher time frame. Look is still good. But then once it starts working, I can build in any trade on any time frame will give you multiple shots to get involved. So I pulled up this meta intraday chart to show it works even on a scalp. I can say, hey, all right, I missed this big pop, yada, yada. But I think that this is coming down and forming a valid bottoming structure. Once, twice, high or low, and it popped above. So now I'm looking to get involved off my moving averages. I can get involved here, build a position here and here. And then as it starts to work, I can take some off again and just say, hey, I think we're going back up here. I don't know if we're going to sweep out the top, but I think we're headed back in this direction. So I'm going to keep playing off of these moving averages as long as they buy or, as long as they reclaim like this. You get multiple spots to kind of build a little cushion, and maybe you get stopped out here. That's fine. But the point is that if you are able to trade around like that, and even you say you get stopped in here, you're like, oh, okay, now it's going to happen. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to get involved in the pullback, get a quarter here, maybe add another quarter here. All right, starting to work. I get another buy right there. I can add in 3 quarters. And okay, we sweep over here. I take some off. Another big pop. Oh, I got to sell a big candle, but I'll add it right back if it forms support here. So just trading like that,
Working a
in and
form.
out, in and out,
Mm.
that keeps you not bound to it. And then if we do get the big target, well, then I'm all out. And then I get to reassess. And almost always, once you get this target, it's a great time to just reassess. And if you still like it, well, hey, you could add some back in here. But that's kind of my philosophy on all this stuff in general.
I love it. I love it. Even like the laddering approach. There are a lot of traders in chat who do those as well. They'll ladder entries and exits, right? So
Mhm.
it's essentially, yeah, even on the exit side. Like, how often have you gotten top tick? Like, let's say, even I'll just take this Apple. I know it's after hours with earnings, but like, how often will you set a stop, like where you should have set your entry
Mhm.
anyways? The best traders out there will tell you, like, okay, most people have this idea of where the stop should be, and that's where this individual or the professional trader will put their entry, where the
Mhm.
stop. But yeah, how often do you get top ticked? Top tick, top tick. There was a time period I got top ticked so much, that's when it just forced me. I'm like, I have to ladder my exits where it's going to
Mhm.
be, maybe break it up into 3 or 4 different sections in a range. So the ego tells us we got to have the perfect entry. We got to nail the top. We got to nail the bottom. But that's not what our equity curve is going to tell us. The equity curve is going
Yeah.
to say just trade well, eliminate the ego entirely, anyways, and just trade well. Apple's very interesting, guys, coming down towards this 258, 259 level, almost giving back a round trip in the move.
Mhm.
As long as it holds that previous close, I think we're a okay here. 25644. It had a lower wick to it. That 256, 256 is an area that, in my mind, it would need to hold over under.
Mhm. No, I'm with you there, and I think it's just one of those days where Theta Gang wins. The call buyers, they're going to get rinsed. The put buyers, they're going to get rinsed. And I think that it's just going to be about where the volume comes in tomorrow. So far, I see a move up and retest, and nothing too alarming quite yet. Just nothing too exciting to talk about either. But just going back on what you were saying, is really well said. Just it's gonna good trading practices, they might not always feel the best, but sometimes the right move isn't the one that feels the best, and where your equity curve shows the benefits, that's all that really matters. So just by not committing to any one sell point, you're really, how I know that it's an ego thing is, you ever have a place in mind, you're like, okay, it's going to go right here, and you sell there and then it goes higher and you get mad. It's like, well, okay, so often it's just
Yeah.
more important to me, to my lizard brain, to be right than it is to make the most money.
Oh, yeah.
And just
Yeah.
shaking that is a big, it's something I'm still working on ironing out, but I'm catching it faster at least. So you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be better than last week. That's what I tell
Oh, yeah.
myself.
Absolutely. I often say too, you never make it, you're always making it. Because really,
Mhm.
like, you're one trade away from losing it all. Just think of the TCGL today, where a lot of traders performed very poorly on that one, and it just takes one like lapse of judgment
Yeah.
to really cripple the account. So that's why you just always trade kind of scared. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
trade, but like you said, it's when you're comfortable in the trade. That's often what I found, at least for the style I trade in small caps. When I feel comfortable with the trade, it's oftentimes a bad trade. I need to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is whoa, is this going to sell off forever? Like I'm buying something that's just capitulating. But oftentimes that's taking the trade when other people are the liquidity event happening where other
Mhm.
people are getting capitulated, where you can involve yourself and slowly scale into the plays. But yeah, Apple bouncing right there, decent dip buy right there off of VWAP.
And that golden pocket still showing interest. But yeah, you're just no matter what we talk about, it seems to always come back to sizing, right? Because the sizing correctly allows you to stay in the pocket, and it can go against you a little bit. Where if that was the same, if you're trading that TCGL with the same size as you're trading Apple, I mean, one rogue candle, you're blown out completely. But if you're just
Mhm.
nibbling as it starts to work, you can build the position. Or if it starts to go against you a little, but not breaking your thesis, just testing your patience, you got to be able to weather that storm because it's such a psychological thing where those capitulation points, it's no coincidence that so many people feel like the market is hunting their stops, right?
Oh yeah.
If it's a logical place, when you're feeling the most pain, that's probably pretty close. If you're trading with the pack, that's probably pretty close to a bottom. So just something to consider. Not just doom hold things, but just remember that like they're preying on the most obvious emotional state that a participant would be in based on the chart.
The call today, the conference call is at 5 Eastern to discuss you can join the live webcast on the Apple Investor Relations website.
Yeah, a little late for us. We're going to be signing off here in 4 minutes, right, Kevin? That's the
That's
schedule, I believe.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
But hey, this is a amazing turnout here. Nearly a thousand
absolutely.
people from X and YouTube.
Oh,
So
wow,
good,
absolutely. Thanks for joining.
yeah, thank you guys for tuning in today. It's been a lot of fun. If there's any tickers you want us to review, let us know. We've been on top of Apple. Visa's sitting there at consolidation. A couple other plays that have come out with earnings that have been holding up as well, and then SanDisk. Your SanDisk, man, that plays wild too.
That's something else, man. I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow locking in the profits on MU, but I feel like it's never a terrible move when it's up this much. So SanDisk, as you can see, still a nice pennant here. Does look like it's going higher, just holding the 600 level. And if we pull up a daily chart, I just want to show you guys, actually 4 hours, so we can see this after hours move too. What an absolutely monster chart. And this is where it starts to get crazy. It's going parabolic. So, I think it's a great time to lock in profits, but it could keep going. And I'm not gonna cry if Mike runs up another $50 tomorrow. Who am I kidding? I probably will cry a little bit. But sometimes enough is enough. I do think
What
these
a
trades are
straight
going to
up!
keep
Wow,
going.
what a
Something
spread!
else. Man.
Whew. MU on the daily. Wow.
Something else. All
Steeper
right.
the weaker, steeper the weaker. So just make sure you lock in some in daily and intraday. It's but yeah, I mean you can have, of course, irrationality run at its finest. I mean that's made evidence every single day in trading, and in relation to TCGL right now, which was that's like climbing back up to its highs. So
I'm,
irrationality runs rampant. What should not be irrational is you. You can control your reaction, and not you, Steve. You, as in me and everybody else
yeah,
out there.
I cannot control my reactions. You're right. I'm an animal.
Yeah, it's just what the one thing we can control. That's our reaction to it. So
Mm,
that's the one thing you got to do in trading. Man, this has been a fun stream, guys, with earnings. And honestly, traders, for those new to trade the pool, a big event's coming up here in February. You're gonna want to make sure you're a part of it because there's some fun prizes, and it's an earnings event too, earnings competition. So make sure you head over to the website, sign up for the earnings competition. That's going to be starting here soon. But
yeah.
we're live throughout the week. I mean, this it's a great team here at Trade the Pool. If you guys have questions, let us know in the comments. Be
And
happy to
Kevin,
address.
just remind the viewers too. By the way, what time is your call-in show too?
On Thursdays at lunchtime, 12 to 1 normally on
12 to 1.
Thursdays. Yeah,
Okay,
Eastern.
absolutely.
So
I got to start tuning in because that's my lunchtime. So that'll be good entertainment to still stay in the loop without without having to watch
Sure.
everything too closely to myself. Really good talks on there. Be sure to check that out. You can always find me on stream for Power Hour Monday through Thursday. Monday through Thursday, I will be here for the Power Hour, and then going on into the next month, we're going to be doing a lot of big earnings coverage too, just like this.
Nice.
So come on in and join us as we do our best to give you the breakdown about what we're seeing. Me coming from a technical background, I'm still learning my way around how to trade these earnings, but we're going to learn together. We're going to stay informed and think about the implications going forward because it's a really important time to pay attention to these earnings reports. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this stream. Unfortunately, we didn't have any crazy moves to talk about on Apple, but we got a nice little pop, and it seems like the market is at least relatively stable for now. So that's where we're at. You can join us. Let's see. You can join us for all of our usual programming starting Monday. And I don't know, Kevin, anything else that I'm missing here that you want to plug?
No, no. I mean, yeah, find us on X, YouTube, Kevin Avery, Green Team, and then of course with Trade the Pull, we got. I mean, it's just going to be a huge year. It's going to be a huge year with Trade the Pull. There's so much going on, and you don't want to miss out on it. Be sure to sign up for the competition, and yes, with Steve with the Power Hour with Steve. I mean, that's a great time to. We're all learning and growing together. And let's keep at it, traders. Build this community up because we thrive once we can sharpen each other, help each other grow. But yeah, last word over to you, Steve.
Oh, I love it so much. Oh, you just hit the nail on the head there. I'm going to leave it at that. Keep it nice and simple. Thank you guys so much for spending this hour with us, and come back, get some more next week. Take care. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye now.
Take care.